G'day everyone and welcome to the Just Keep Punting Day 1 Championship preview, and thanks to my great mate and racing enthusiast and most importantly astute pro punter, Nigel. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Yeah, it's exciting. Great meeting to preview here, and big shoes to fill. See what we can do.
Yeah, some of us aren't at the Masters, but anyway, hey, what do you make of this track, mate? Like, thought during the week it was going to be a bit wet. It's hot, and nice, beautiful day in Sydney today. Same forecast tomorrow. How are you thinking it's going to play?
Yeah, not as much rain as we probably anticipated the last couple of days. And fine weather today, and looks like that'll be the same for tomorrow. So I'm thinking, yeah, probably kick off as a 5. The track's like, if you look at Warwick Farm yesterday and Rosehill the last couple of weeks, they have had a bit of juice in them. So I think 5's probably the safe way to play it.
And down the middle, or you don't think there'll be any buyers?
Yeah, if you look at the way I do things is that I normally work around lane 8 being the best place to be. And when you're in rail true, that means 8 off the fence. Now, on these sort of setups, I try and avoid fence in run. Quite often, if it's obvious early, they start coming 4 or 5 off the fence after 3 or 4 races, and it sort of does even out and gives most horses their chance. But yeah, looking to be against horses that are sort of close up to the fence.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, and I thought it would be even more exaggerated as the day went. We kick off with a Group 3 2-year-old race, 1100 metres. Top of the market here is Libertad off the midweek Kenzo win, Barber second fave, and then Solitaire introducing. What did you think here with the map, and how did you decipher this, Nige?
Yeah, looks a pretty fast race. Zolfika introducing Floodway, Rimbo, Remedies, Princess Do Hello. They all look fast enough horses. The early money was for Libertad, who was the early favourite. They're starting to come for Barber now. I kind of thought Azza with Libertad. I mean, it was very impressive in its Kensington win, but when you analyse the other race, that the 1100 metre race on the day, it was just over a second slower, and it kind of reminds me. It looked like it had a great turn of foot. And sometimes it's easy to have a great turn of foot when you're against, slower beasts. It'd be like you, running against John Walter. You'd probably struggle to look like you've got a turn of foot. But if you then had a race against PD, well, you'd show a remarkable turn of foot. I kind of think Libertad's a bit like this. And drawn close to the inside, had its 3 back the fence. I was prepared to back Solitaire here. I think it's rolled up quite nice. It's probably coming through stronger form lines. I think J-Mac will sit outside Libertad. It's the main way I wanted to go. And I was also prepared to give Tumbling a chance. I thought it was pretty good first up at Ballarat. And I think, settling midfield and coming down the middle, I think it's a good chance as well. Yourself?
Yeah, I sort of thought the same on Libertad. Figures weren't that good from that race, which you've already mentioned. And I just saw it on the map. I could see it 3 or 4 back the fence with Chad on board. So I just couldn't take the price. I thought I'd found one at huge odds here, and I got excited. It came up $5 in Solitaire. The trial was amazing in between runs, and I thought its first 2 runs were pretty good. It is getting out now. I can see to $7.50, so I couldn't have backed it at 5. I was battling to find a bet, but I thought Barber was overs at $6.50. It's into $4.20 now. I haven't taken the $6.50, mind you. Proven soft and at Randwick, but it may not be that soft. I thought Jamie Sparr gave it a pretty average ride in the Blue Diamond. It was a bit of a nothing run, and then comes out of a slipper. So it is 4th run into prep, so not charging in. Sort of going to watch how the meeting goes. But I sort of had Barber and Saltaire as top picks. I do note Introducing has got the winkers on first time, and it's been a bit erratic in its runs. I thought it would benefit from that, but I just thought the others, taking a line to the other horses, that they had their measure, would have to step up quite a bit here, even with the winkers. So that's how I saw it. On to race 2, the Carbine Club, over a mile. Got Osipenko odds on. First emergency for the Donny. Doesn't look like getting a run. I know Mustang Valley hasn't got a rider, but they're just waiting on the scratchings to take one of the emergencies jockeys. So they are intending on running. So Osipenko at this stage doesn't look like getting a run on the Donny. It's $1.80 and then pretty much double figures the rest. I'll maybe go first here, Nigel.
Okay.
Look, I think, it's clear top pick off the Hobartville run and coming out of the George Rider. I'm this horse's biggest fan. It should be giving some of them giving them 15 kilos. It's only giving them 3 to 5, but it is still giving them weight. And I just thought the last 100 in the George Rider was just a bit plain. It was one out, one back, and it was off a slow pace, and it couldn't get past Communist, which was leaders back. So I just can't take odds on it, even though I think it's much better animal than all of these. So I just thought specking at odds, just small each way. Zoe's Promise is a very underrated horse. She is entered at the Claire Lindop in Adelaide, which I backed her in. I hope she goes there. But if not at $18 here, I think she'll take a sit off what I think is a very fast pace in this race. And Jay Allen smoking the pipe, I thought she could run on into the first few, and I was willing to give Wolverine another chance. I just think if running on down the middle is a place to be, she could be strongest at the end of a fast speed. She's Group 1 and Group 2 placed. I know she was disappointing at Canberra, where everyone thought she was going to win, but I thought she was just rigging far too negatively. I thought maybe a mile Randwick, fitter fourth up, maybe there. But it's hard because you need Osipenko not to be at its best for those horses to beat it, in my opinion. And I'm not sure that that's correct off the setback. Maybe just off the setback into the George Rider was the issue, and maybe it just pisses in. But I just can't take odds on.
Yeah. I did notice this morning that they put out a steward's announcement saying that Converge has got an issue in the Doncaster.
Right.
Caught up with some filling and mistrack work this morning. They're monitoring it, so Osipenko may get a run. Okay. And drawn barrier 1 in the Doncaster. I'd imagine it'd go there if it did get the run. I was similar to you here. I saw a bit of pace in this race with, like you said, My Truth, Cosmic Field. They like to run along. There's a few others here, Glenta Silver. So I was prepared to sort of look for something running on as well. And I arrived at Wolverine also. I think it's got a reasonably good setup for the mile here. And it's been working home reasonably well in decent races. I think, Osipenko out here, it's definitely the class horse. And I thought even at current prices, Osipenko is way too short as well. I'd probably think it's more of a $2.50 chance. Few dual acceptors here. It'd be interesting to see where they go. You touched on Zoe's Promise, the Fortune Teller's another one. I thought Wolverine as an each-way play was pretty safe way to play it here. I think it'll run a good race.
Okay. On to race 3, the Chairman's 2,600 metre, lead into the Sydney Cup potentially for a few of these. Benno and Almania are equal faves at $7, Gin Martini 8, Stockman 10, etc. I've heard Timor's not going to run. Don't know how true that is. Still in the field at the moment. I spent half an hour on this race and couldn't find anything. So I'm going to be at the bar having a Corona at this stage. Probably not open the account for the day, but I'll throw it over to you, see if you're keen on anything.
Oh, hopefully I come through with the goods here, because for me this is the bet of the day, and by bet of the day I mean I think the horse that I'm going to go on about here should be favourite and is the biggest overlay of the day, which for me makes it the bet of the day. And and that is number 6, Nerve Not Verve. So you'd probably recall Azza, it won this race last year.
Yeah, that big odds.
It beat Knight's Order. It beat it well, and trainer basically stuffed up and forgot it to put it in the Sydney Cup. It ended up being freshened up and running in the Warrnambool Cup instead. But yeah, Knight's Order went on and won the Sydney Cup. So looks like a really, it does sort of peak. This sort of set up well into the run. It kind of runs really well, with a bit of juice in the track, and its last run in the Auckland Cup. Well, you'd have to just see it to believe it. So I'd encourage anyone to jump on YouTube and have a look, because it came out about 2 or 3 lengths slow. Took about 600 or 700 meters to work around the entire field, sit outside the leader, and really put him to the sword at the 4,500. Shot 3 lengths in front, and this Platinum Invaders grabbed it right on the line. It was 5 lengths to third. It really was a sensational run. So I'd say that it's the real fit horse here. It's sort of got the runs under its belt. It's proven at this level. Barrier 16, but you get a nice sort of 380 metre run to the first turn. I think it can work forward and get into a nice spot, provided it's not bombing the start again, which typically it doesn't do. But I think Nerve Not Verve is a great bet here.
There you go. Bang. I'm glad. I wish I didn't waste that half an hour trying to do it. But I can just back it now. So I will follow you in to give me something to watch. Race 4, Phillies, 2,000 metre Adrian Knox Stakes, Group 3. Blue Horse, $2.35. Premise the O'Shea filly, $6.50, and that O to V with Zach on $6.50. Should mention we've got Zach Purton, Joe Moreira riding at this meeting, which is exciting, and Tommy Marquand versus J Mac Bowmans, and let's not forget Potato Man Johnny Allen, most underrated jockey in Australia. I'll have a crack here. Look, I think I can see why Sequestered is this price. It's been really strong its last 2 starts. Last start it beat Byron Bell, who crossed the line with Fireburn in third in the Group 1 Vinery last week. Form stacks up. Piero filly out of a really, really nice filly that I like called Abduction, who ran second in a Wakeful behind Thunder Lady one year. This looks a clear target here, and I thought of the shorties for the day. This is probably the best. I'm against Premise because I don't like the map. The other one I am going to back is a horse called Candy Love, bred to be an Oaks filly. I really, the blinkers went on last start. It was crying out for them, and I just loved the last 100 metres. It was a really weak maiden, mind you, 1,500 metres, but the step up 2,000, he's going to go back here, TC on. I just can see her running on strongly into this race. She'll definitely stay the trip. I just thought at $16, I'll be backing her as well each way, and hopefully she's good enough to win. Not sure she is, but I thought Sequestered and Candy Love were the only possible 2 bets I could have.
What did you call him? The Potato Man?
The Johnny Potato Man, yeah. Irishman. I love spuds. Potato.
His ride here is the horse that I found hoops. The reason I like it is because I think it's the one you can lock in here. Is it's going to love 2,000 meters. I mean, it's already had two runs over 2,100 meters leading up into this race. Second in the Oaks in Tasmania behind Sultry Choice, who I thought went pretty well last week behind Prowess. Got beat 5. I think it ran 5th or 6th. But then a couple of weeks ago, Open Class 64 at Sandown, Flying Basil, Black Pen. Well, Black Pen came out last week and ran second to Sparkle. So I don't think the form's rubbish or anything like that. It was close up in that race. I think you can just lock it in that this horse is going to run you a solid race over this distance. And that is really the question mark for every other horse in this race. This horse, I think, is going to give you an honest run. And I thought at $10 on an each way basis, it's the way I wanted to go. Um, as I said, I don't want to go knocking anything else because they're not tried at the distance, but I'll just say that, yeah, I'll just stick with the idea that, I think this horse is going to run it out and give you a good run for your money.
On to race 5, the Country Championships final. A bunch of different form lines here. You're a lot closer to Sydney form than I am. I looked at every replay of every horse here, and I thought the top of the markets held the key, but nothing that I could say with conviction. I could just find little holes in everything. So I sort of shoulder arms at this one, and I don't have a firm opinion, and I'll throw it over to you, Nigel.
Yeah. Well, it looks a really solidly run race here. So Talbragar, I thought was a 1,200-metre horse max, and he got away with a 1,400-metre win last start, but Bullock really gave it a peach in a slowly run race. Sir Ravanelli, Sizzle Manizzle, the Forerunner, Kimberley Secrets. I think Testator Silence. Most of these sort of run along and are on pace. I think if I was to suggest, I think that the true favourite should be Akasawa. I think it's 1-6 from 9. It's the horse that I think will go very well at this distance. Probably sit about midfield. I like it, and I also like I've Been Trying, I think's a chance to get over the top of them, and I think you'll get better odds. I've Been Trying maybe about $16, but I think it likes a bit of juice in the track, and it'll sort of enjoy a truly run race. The real risk, I suppose, is Ellen Hennessy. That's why I'm saying you'll probably get better odds. But for me, Akasawa and I've Been Trying the 2 bets in the race for me. And yeah, of course, it's a tough race, form coming from everywhere. But yeah, I'm just mainly betting that race off map.
Okay, great. On to the second half of the card. Start with the first of 4 Group 1s for the day, the Sires. Obviously got Cylinder as a clear-cut favourite, 5-4. V8, the Melbourne Sires winner at 550, and Brave Mead looks an impressive animal. Australian bloodstock horse, and it's been well backed into 650. I'll let you start off, mate.
Yeah, so looks like all the early money's been for Cylinder. It's got into a real short price now, about $2.20. I think it's a worthy favourite, but I couldn't possibly back it at this price. So we'll say that, you'd recall Fireburn won this race last year after winning the Slipper. Fireburn, on Slipper Day, there's 3 1,200-metre races. Fireburn won the Slipper in the fastest of those 1,200-metre races. It was a good Slipper that year. I don't think it's necessarily gone on to prove that, but at the time it was. Shinzo's Slipper was the slowest of the 3 1,200-metre races, and Cylinder got beat. And you're asked to take a very short price about a horse that's by Exceed and Excel. I'm not convinced it's looking for 1,400 metres, this horse. But it's a worthy favourite. I can just see reasons why it shouldn't be this short, and I've looked elsewhere. The 2 horses I want to be with are the horses with the Victorian form. The first one I'll talk about here is number 4, V8. So as I said, got the 1,400-metre form under its belt. Third to it last start was Amur, who really finished 3 lengths off it. It's made a mess of them, really. And Amurs came out last week and won well in Sydney. I think looks a fairly solid pace here with a few horses few Gay Waterhouse horses that will race forward in Bases Loaded, and Butch Cassidy. Disney can go forward. I think it could be a solidly run race here. So I think it'll get its chance, V8, to show, that its 1400-meter sort of staying ability, so let's call it. And the other horse that I think on the backup here, which has been winning impressively, although the figures last up weren't great, but I think Brave Mead sort of gets a nice run sort of just off the speed here. And I think it's got the upside. It was a soft win last start. I'm sure it could have done more if it was asked to. But I thought at $9 or $10 backing it, and V8 at $6 was a better option than backing the Slip Perform.
Interesting. Yeah, look, I don't want to back Cylinder. I did get the PR last start, but it looks like it's going to get the PR again. I obviously back Shinzo, as you know, in the Slipper. I think it's a really big animal, strong animal. I don't think he was weak on the line Cylinder. He actually was going away from King's Gambit if you watch that. So I don't want to back it, but I'm not knocking it. I just couldn't possibly take the price. I actually think it'll drift on the day. I think V8 was impressive as well. I don't know, just sort of looking out wide here. I thought Cafe Millennium was huge overs. Its first start at Randwick, it has to be seen to be believed. The win there over a shorter trip. O'Shea was very vocal saying, don't want to go to Slipper. It's not a Rose Hill horse, etc., etc., etc. It went to the Silver Slipper from memory behind Cylinder. The Todman, sorry. Went to the Todman. Look, he was a bit average there, I think. He was still coming on the line a little bit, but, was 4.5 lengths behind Cylinder. I didn't mind the trial, the last 100 metre in that Saltaire trial. I just thought 1,400 metres, if there's a hot speed, Tommy Mark would back on, who rode it in its first start. I just thought it could be coming down the middle, and at $21, it was a value play. And the other one, who's $41, is Militarize. First start in a race, won impressively, went to that Todman and beat Cafe Millennium home, ran third behind Cylinder and Red Resistance, but was coming really strongly in the last 100 metres. I like the last 100. To me, it was a horse who wanted 1,400 metre. Waller was vocal in the media saying, we're running it in a Slipper, but we're running it for the sires. Forget it. It was hurting. It was held up in the learning to fly skirmish at the back. So it was just a total non-event, the Slipper. So don't worry about the duck egg. Barrier 1 here, I just thought could potentially get a bit of a suck up on the rail. And look, it's $41. I don't really need to justify it. I don't love the race. I don't want to back something off a Moonee Valley win 7 days ago against a Slipper runner-up. I think VA has got ability, but I don't know about that size form ever holding up in Sydney. So I just went looking for a bit of, an off-track tip there, and I'm just going to have a small play on those two, and then watch it. We get to the TJ now. Extraordinary sprint this. Interesting market here. Top 3 in the market. Giga Kick is fave from Nature Strip at 550 in Secret 6. I wish I win 850 Private Eye 950, but it doesn't end there. Nigel, really keen to hear what you think about the map and the speed here.
Yeah, it's got the best of the best here. Nature Strip, a middle draw there. There's probably speed inside. There's probably speed outside. So it'll need to jump well to be leading. I've already talked a bit about the track pattern. I thought it opened too short, Giga Kick, but it's the horse that I want to be with here. I think, given the depth of this field, you probably get close to more like $5. And I just thought that it's the horse with the upside. It's obviously won the Everest against the best of the best. Its last start, where it got sort of jammed, squeezed up out of the gates, was, I think, a really good indication that it's come back just as good as ever. I'd like the position that, I think, given it starts, on terms with them, I think it'll just sit midfield and find the right part of the track. So I like it as a bet. And the other bet that I had early on was just coming out of the Newmarket form. It was the longest price of the 5 runners coming out of the Newmarket, and that was number 11, Lofty Strike. I just thought it was over the odds when it was $26. It's obviously a bit shorter now, but it's a very honest horse, and probably gets a chance to sit just maybe behind Giga Kick and come home with it. So I was going to back 10 and 11. There's just so many good horses here. We could talk about this race forever, but that's the way I wanted to play it.
Yep. So for me, I just think this race shape is significantly different to the Everest with a lot less speed. Begg said passive aggressive wants to sit off Nature Strip. So I see Nature Strip just sitting on Overpass the shoulder here. And with J Par rating Overpass in front, I can't see it being that hectic a speed. And I know people say it's a TJ, but, Redzel won 2 Everests off slow tempos. I just think it's interesting everyone's riding off Nature Strip here. Since winning at Royal Ascot, he's been odds on SP in 3 or 4 starts and 6-4 in the other, which he won. He was beaten less than a length in the Everest 3 starts back when given no chance at how fast they went, and then just pipped in the VRC Classic. So I think it's premature to ride him off after that lightning run. Last year, he's won 3 of these in a row. Last year, he got beat by fucking Shelby 66 before winning. So I don't think that lightning's a write-off. I just think it's $6, and you may even get more on the day. I just think if there's a slow speed here, it could be absolutely up and gone over the rise. So I'm going to give him one more chance. Could bring the grandstand down at Randwick if he wins. And the other one I thought was overs was passive aggressive. I don't understand how she's $13 or something like that. Again, if my speed assumption's correct, she'll stalk the leader. She's a quality animal. And I think she's a great horse. All those other horses can win. They're great horses. I just thought, I wish I win. I love, but no one's going to have him last. It's going to be so hard to win from there against these horses. As I said, if I've got the speed wrong, I'll be totally wrong. But the only angle I could find was going off a slower speed and then finding those on pace to sit and sprint and sort of with maybe the back markers battling to catch them.
I thought Shades of Rose would lead this race.
The only thing why I didn't think that is drawn wide. It's in that Quokka race, that $4 million Quokka race. It's got a slot there. Like, surely they don't want to cook it. So I assume that wouldn't lead, but I could be wrong.
I mean, you don't know for sure, but that's if I owned it, I'd want it leading this race.
Yeah.
I mean, have a look. They tried to take a sit last start. It got posted 3 wide. I don't think they'll do that again.
Yeah. You could be right. Let's get on to the Doncaster. One of my favourite races of the year. It's been a source of great joy for me and also a source of great heartbreak. Certainly, even in the last 2 years, mate, which you've been a part of. Still haven't got over Ice Bath at $51 beaten by Cascadian. But anyways, we move on. Don't need to go over the market. Everyone's probably across it. How'd you see the race, mate?
Yeah, this isn't a race where I'd typically want to invest too much on it. The horse that I've got as my main play, and I think most people, when you bet into Doncaster, you back 2 or 3 horses because you can make a case for so many horses. The horse that I've got my main play is number 12, Bandersnatch. I just thought it kind of lobs in a really good spot, just third or fourth. Obviously, in really good form, destroyed them last week. Doesn't mind a bit of juice in the track. I mean, I just think it's going really well. I mean, yeah, you could argue that it's not up to these, but I think, on its day it can be. And I mean, even the time that it finished just behind I Wish I Win, it gave it I Wish I Win weight that day. I just really like the map for it in this race, and I thought it just when I backed it, it was over 20s. I thought it'd give you a run for your money. The other horse I think is interesting that I just wanted to have a small bet on was number 8 Duke de Sessa. I just thought it was a different form. Obviously the UK form standing up, but I thought it trialled quite zippily, quite looked like it had speed in its legs. It looked like it was kind of ready to go. I'm just going to have a small bet on it. I think you'll get 30s. The early bet I had as well was Converge. I think that if you're going to back the George Ryder form, it's the one that you had to have on top out of the George Ryder. Gets the big weight swing. It had a return to form. It's run some good races at this track and distance. But as I just mentioned earlier, they've just announced that it has had a slight setback. So 15s into 10s may get back out there. I mean, I wouldn't knock anyone's tip in this race, but they're my tips.
Yep.
And yeah, I'm just playing it small.
Yeah. I found it a tough race. I see why you like Bandersnatch with the way it ran through the line last week. I thought it was very strong. I guess I'm just surprised Fangirl isn't favourite. I understand she's battling a win, but gee, she's been by an Animo all prep. 1600 metres, big track, dry track, her go. Suspecting 19 is going to suit down the middle, place to be. And plus, I don't want Moreira caught up within horses anyway. I'd rather him out wide. Drops, 3.5 kilos here from Rate for A's. Fourth up in the spring, ran enormous in the Golden Eagle. I can't see that's not in the finish. I thought it should be fave. I thought at $10 she's a great each way bet. The largest bet I've had in the race is actually on Nugget at $51.
Okay.
Kept winning through the grade since it's come to Australia. This prep stepped up to Group 1 weight for age and been okay. Ran third in the All first up, then led second up, led Alligator Blood. It was just the wrong tactics. And in the All-Star Mile, thought was serviceable. All the winners sort of peeled off their back and hasn't carried less than 59 kilos in Australia. It's carried 61 when it won at Randwick in a benchmark race, mind you. I've just always sort of thought this horse could be a Doncaster horse. Drops to 51.5. I just think it's a $21 chance, not a $51 chance. So I've backed it each way. I just thought it was the overs.
Okay.
And to your point, and the Zugotcha will be a winner for me at 15 as well. They're the three, but who knows? I could miss, to your point, such a strong race. On to the time-honoured AJC Derby. Markets here has been very interesting. Sharp and Smart was $2 in future markets a week ago, and Virtuous Circle was 9. Pericles was 8. Sharp and Smart now 350. Pericles 4. Mark Twain 850. Double figures the rest. Nigel, what say you?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I'll comment about in this race with the Derby is that this start is all very similar to the Victoria Derby start at the 2,500 metres. It's only about 180 metres until they get turning here, and they turn until the 1,500 metre mark. So the barrier for Sharp and Smart's a bit of a nightmare, I think. It's the sort of horse that likes to slide in midfield, and yeah, I don't know whether Bowman goes forward with Major Beal or goes back and tries to come from last. But if he tries to slide in midfield, he could easily get stuck 4 wide for a while here. And the reason I'm talking so much about Sharp and Smart is that I think the New Zealand Derby form is the way I want to play this race. When I've gone back and had a look at the New Zealand Derby a few times, geez, it was given a peach in the New Zealand Derby. It got a beautiful run throughout the race, presented at the right time. And the horses that ran second and third and fourth to it, I thought all had tougher runs. Um, the horse that I thought missed the boat completely was the jock on Mark Twain. I mean, it was only 2 or 3 lengths off Sharp and Smart at the 1,000, but was 8 lengths off it at the 400, and it's run it back to 2. I thought here from barrier 5, he can probably posse up in a much better position. And I just think with run of the race stuff, he can easily turn the tables. And the same, I kind of thought, opportunity presented for Zach Purden on Andalus. I mean, it started hundreds last start, so I don't think it's as good a bet as Mark Twain, but I've got to have something on it because I think, again, there's an argument to say it can turn the table. So for me, the two bets are Andalus and Mark Twain. I've got huge doubts about Pericles' ability to run the 2,400. I didn't think it ran the 2,500 the Derby last year. I think it was spent on the line at the end of the Rosehill Guineas. It was spent on the line in the Vase. So I think, the early money for it may go astray. Of the Aussie horses, Manzoice is probably the horse that can improve. But, yeah, like the race to bet in. What did you think?
Yeah, I share a similar view on the strength of the New Zealand Derby. I know Pericles didn't run the trip in the VRC Derby, but it was William Buick. Let's just put it that way. It was a slaughter. But I share your view on the Rosehill Guineas. I know the Rant boys were saying that, it didn't parade well and it'll improve out of that. But I just thought it was disappointing. I did back it, but still thought it was disappointing. I'm either going to be an idiot here or a genius, and the market says I'm an idiot. I'm very keen on Virtuous Circle here. I think this horse is an out-and-out stayer. I thought it would win the VRC Derby. Its run in the Vase was sensational. They took the option to save it for this race. First up, I thought it was serviceable. Then ran an enormous race in the Australian Guineas. And then last week ran in the Australian Cup and, was very unlucky. And then, it was okay through the line. It's been set for this. Barry 18 is good, goes back. A bit of toe in would really advantage it. I just think it's a 2,400 metre horse and it's $36. I just keep backing it and they keep drifting it. So they're not respecting what I'm doing. So I'm just I'm in on it because I've been keen on it for quite a while. I do agree with you on the New Zealand Derby form. So I think the dangers are Mark Twain and Sharp and Smart. I suspect Bowman goes back. He has to take his medicine. It's not the worst thing in AJC derbies to go back and then, they start blending in at the 600 and often they come down the middle, the winning chances. So I think if he goes forward, he's in trouble, I think. I just don't think he can use up all that petrol and have the sprint at the end to win. I don't think he's that much better than him. So I think he goes back, and I just think he's getting out to a backable price. I'm still with it, and I'm with you, Mark Twain. I'm going to make a book around those three. Manzoice is just not going as well as he was. I was keen on him before the Rosehill Guineas run. Interesting, they go blinkers on here. Waller's throwing kitchen sink. He mustn't think it's going as well either. First time blinkers. I'm wary of it. And interesting what you say about Zach. It goes Cosy Asano jockey to Zach Purton. I'd call that a quadruple tick. But it was over 100 in that derby. So, that's me. I'm Virtuous Circle. You'll hear the grandstand come off if it wins because I'll be the only person at Randwick who backs it. I could be on the track leading it in if it wins. Noted at Sharp and Smart and Mark Twain look the bets. We're just about to run out of time here. I'm just going to stop this, Nige, and we'll do the last in a sec.